Estamos entrevistando Iben Christiansen, que foi a primeira aluna formada por Ole Skovmose, o grande educador matemático dinamarquês com grande vivência no Brasil. So here we having Iben Christiansen and a bee too in her house, having here to be interviewed. Iben Christiansen is a mathematics educator now living in Sweden. She had a lot of work in Denmark, and I would like to ask you, Iben, so how was life as a graduate student with Ole Skovmose, who is very famous in Brazil and all over the world?
I learned a lot from Ole. It was a very difficult time for him because his first wife, had just died, and he was alone with 2 children. And the first thing that really hit me was Ole often invited students home. So the one thing I learned from Ole is to also care for who the student is. So he would invite master students and me, and later other PhD students and visitors from all over the world to his home. And it was a bit tricky. We had to take the train, we had to walk. The students would make food, and Ole would just pour wine and wait for the food and talk to everyone. But then he showed me his paintings, and I have never seen paintings with so much grief. So he was very strong in capturing the emotion. And he had some interesting supervision techniques, I think. So one thing I didn't understand at the time, he said to me, there are not very many books in the library on mathematics education. Go and order books for 10,000 krona, which was a lot of money that time. Go and order books. So you must order like 30 books. And I thought, this is crazy. You are the professor. You know what books to buy. I'm just beginning. I don't know anything. How can I choose the books? But because this was the job he gave me, what do? I start looking, there's this kind of mathematics education, there's this kind of mathematics education, there's this kind of... So I get a whole map of mathematics education, because without that, I can't decide to have books from all over the world, from different areas. So that was his way of making me, instead of saying you must read all this, he just says buy books from the library, and I make myself read. So he did things like that. So that I found very interesting. Also, he wouldn't give small little comments. He would just go, yeah, there's a good idea here. Where are you going to take it? What are you going to do with it? And for me, it was difficult. I'm like, I need more help. Tell me what to do. He said, well, what do you? There's something here. Play more. And it was very hard for me. But then one day when I said to him, I don't know, I think I've done a lot of things and ideas. Now I need help putting it together. And then he spent 3 hours. Normally we had very short supervision, but we did a whole map. And I was like, okay, I'm beginning to get how it works. So he had a very unusual, not the supervision little boxes that we learn to do now. So we had this good things and bad things with it, but I learned a lot from it.
Very good. And so today it's August 2025. So tell us, when was that, and whether if you heard at that time something about Paulo Freire, which and if you learn, what have you heard, or what stayed in your memory from that?
I don't remember exactly.
But that was
But that was
1995.
I finished my PhD in 1995.
Okay.
So that's 30 years ago. So yeah, when did I start? 1991, 1992 started. Had I heard about Freire before that? Possible, but not big. But I did a lot of work. We started working with South Africa at the time because apartheid ended. And then we started comparing the critical traditions. So you had Paulo Freire, but you had also the whole people's mathematics in South Africa, and you had Ole's critical ideas, critical mathematics education, you had the American Marilyn Frankenstein, all of those. So that's where I sort of got more into those subjects.
Very good, very good. And I don't know if you know that, but 1990, 1991, I start interact with John Volmink a little bit before, and he put me in touch. I was living in the U.S. then, and then Ole was in Denmark, and we start writing letters. And then we met in 1992, ICME 7, I suppose, in Quebec, or ICME 5, I don't know, some ICME Quebec 1992. And then
my first evening.
Yeah. So then, well, okay. So I don't think I met you there, but I think I met Ole, and we have quite a. I think no, I'm sure we met there. And then I said, "Would you come to Brazil if I invite you?" He said, "Sure, but I don't have any money now." And said, "That's not a problem. Let's just working on it." And he found some funding, and we started doing that. And then we had all the collaboration that you know of, and then Iben, who was a young graduate student, myself to a young graduate student, becoming right maybe a little 2 years ahead of you in the career. So we go to that defense in Denmark.
Yeah.
Would you remember something about this? The whole South African project.
Yes,
Tell
yes,
us a little bit about it.
I mean, the South African project was very interesting. I don't know exactly who raised money or whatever, but I don't know if you remember at the time, but Ole, I think because his wife died, he stopped caring so much about what do people think. So he had to go to the Danish ministry to ask for something, place in Denmark to ask for money. And I remember saying to him, Ole, you cannot go in shorts. I was very worried. I thought he will never get the money. He's going, there's paint on his shirt. He's wearing these sweatpants. Ole, come now, Ole. You know, in Denmark, you talk to your supervisor like that. You say, Ole, this is not right. But Ole comes back, he's got the money. So they had money for this project to, together with John, and to train a lot of historically disadvantaged, so Black, Indian, colored PhD students. And so that's what the funding was for. And he gets together, I think, 12, 13, a lot of students. And then they start doing detailed classroom analysis. And Ole says, I don't know how to do this. Can you go? So I went to South Africa, I got involved with that. But then after I graduated, of course, he wants to give me a chance, and he wants to give you a chance, and he wants to give other young people a chance, new doctors, give them a chance to be examiners. So he put together an examination committee for Herbert Kuswayo. Herbert Kuswayo came from one of the historically Black universities they made the Black universities far, far, far away from the cities. So he was at University of Zululand. You had to drive for 3 hours out, and then there's this university, nothing. And hundreds of Black students, all speaking Zulu. And Herbert Kuswayo did his PhD on the life histories of people who, despite being in the apartheid system, managed to learn mathematics. And we were in the committee, and we had no clue what we were doing. It was the first time ever a committee of you, me, and maybe
Anakronaki. So it was a Danish, a Greek, and a Brazilian in a Royal Danish School of Education. Getting a PhD.
So that was that.
Yeah, no, that was very good, and I think it shows quite a bit of Ole's heritage and the way he would really give a lot of power to young scholars like Iben and myself, and also Anakronaki. Anakronaki had already, I think, some more career than the two of us, or maybe because she was in England.
She was in Bath. She did a PhD in Bath. She came to live with me in a guest room when she came to visit Aalborg before that in Denmark. And she was just finishing her PhD, so I think she must have finished around the time of you. So I'm 2 years behind, and you and Anna are more or less the same time.
Yeah, I finished 92, but my degree is 93.
Yeah, something like that.
Because Cornell just gave PhD certificates 3 times a year. So when I
okay.
finish, I had to wait
And maybe
to have
she's
the...
94 and I'm 95.
Yeah, so we're all young ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so these, my friends, meus caros amigos, é um exemplo de como que a gente pode estar abrindo portas com a supervisão e com colaborações internacionais como essas. Ole taught me quite a bit about international cooperation and about, in this book chapter that Bill Atherley had, he points that as an example of democratic collaboration, because Ole was never one way coming to Brazil and not wanting Marcelo to go to Denmark. So Marcelo had no money to go to Denmark, but he found some money so I could be there. And coming to Brazil, his life changed too. After he lost the first wife, as he said, he ended up finding his second wife, which was with him until the end of his life, and with lots of love and lots of support. And it's somebody with whom I had collaborated quite a bit. We started collaborating there.
Very good.
It was another young scholar. So Iben, to finish that part, maybe can you connect some of that part? And now tell us a little bit about your career. How that influenced now on your supervision? You were the first doctoral student, with Ole Skovmose stamp, and now you supervise. You moved from Denmark to Sweden. Tell us a little bit more, so we finish this short interview with Iben Christiansen. And tell us the name of your new university, so we all have
I'm now at Marladalen University.
Okay.
I don't think it's a straight journey. I think it's very much like this. I stayed with the critical mathematics education for a very long time, also in South Africa. I got more and more interested in teacher education. Because I began to see that some teacher education was actually making the students more critical, and other only pretended to do that. But also that sometimes what the students wanted was not what we critical people wanted. So try to listen more to the students. The reason I moved back to Sweden was more personal. I thought it's time to go home. But when I came here, I tried to follow up on those things. And one thing I've been doing is the financial situation has been tougher. So we have to raise more money for the students. We can't just get PhD students easily. Maybe it was still tough for Ola, I don't know. But now we have to apply for big money and start a research school. So one thing I fight for all the time is that we shouldn't just take in more Swedes. It shouldn't just be Swedish PhD students. We should always try to open the research school. So right now we have a research school with 9 people, and we just had to interview and take the best. We have 2 people from Ghana, and 1 from India, and 1 who originally was Ukrainian but then has moved to Canada, now to Sweden. So we try to do that, and we try to make the students get that experience of coming here, but we also encourage them to go back without it being, it's always better in Sweden. That's not the idea. So we work very much from a comparative perspective, which is to understand why things are as they are, and very much about don't just buy the idea. You can't take an idea from Sweden. You might see something in Sweden that you think works, but it doesn't necessarily work in Ghana. So, but it's not the same critical perspectives anymore. It's taking different forms. We all change.
Very nice, Iben. So, I have not met Iben for 25 years, we believe so. And you now have a little piece of history of Ole, of critical mathematics education at one point, but also about collaboration of scholars from Brazil, from Sweden/Denmark, who became South African too. And now I'm very glad to be here at Iben's home with her husband and family, and having this dialogue here about this part of life of being a scholar. So I came here for a conference, and I have the pleasure of having Iben as a tourist guide here with full of love. And so I thank you so much for that. And hopefully from this informal conversation here, we're gonna have more collaboration now between Sweden and Brazil. And thank you very much.
Yeah, always welcome.